So welcome to my art. I do dot painting, also known as pointillism or neo-expressionism. Dot painting is very famous because of Indigenous Australians, and I lived with the Warlpiri people in the Tanami Desert in 1996, 97 and 1998. I managed 167 Indigenous artists. I started a not-for-profit and helped the tribe. Beautiful people. Now, they really hassled me to paint. Excuse me. And they said, you know, they call me Jabuljari actually, and they said, Jabuljari, you have to paint. And I'm like, I can't paint. But anyway, years went by, and eventually I was actually in prison, and it was very supernatural. An Indigenous elder from another part of Australia was watching me in prison, and he came up to me and he said, those elders up in the Northern Territory, which is sort of, 3,500 kilometres away from the prison, they told you you have to paint, didn't they? And I said, how on earth do you know that? And he says, I know. And anyway, I said, well, I can't paint. I can't even draw a straight line. And I was too busy selling their art, and I just did that. Well, this elder took me into a room one day, and he'd drawn a kangaroo on a huge bit of timber. And he said, that's a dreaming for the name Jabuljari, isn't it? And I said, how do you know that? And he said, I know. And he came in with a box of paint, and it was like full of paint, this whole box, and tubs of paint like this, maybe 15 tubs. And he had this big box of paint, and he was quite aggressive, and he said to me, paint. And I took the box of paint and he stormed out, and I was stuck there with this painting, or this drawing of this kangaroo and this board and this paint. So I just started painting. And that was in 1999, so it's quite a while ago. And, some people try and say, oh, you shouldn't be using dots because that's what Indigenous Australians use. And I think we need to be clear on this, that you should not copy a sacred Indigenous Australian design that belongs to their dreaming, that belongs to their country, that, that's sacred. That's like a copyright in the modern world. If someone writes a book or a song, we can't copy those words. Same with sacred Indigenous Australian designs. But dots, a dot is a dot. A dot is a universal form of art, and the French have used it, and there are other countries around the world that have used dots in their art. So the issue here is, don't copy Indigenous Australian designs, do your own art. There are many elders I've spoken to, and they're quite fine with people using dots to express, and that's what I'm doing. So behind me we have a Arabic word, inshallah. Now inshallah is spoken by Christians and by Muslims around the world, and people who speak Arabic, that could be a Christian. People who speak Arabic could be a Muslim. I'm sure there's people who speak Arabic that are neither. And the word inshallah means if God wills, or God willing. So you'll often hear people say, well, we're going to go on this plane trip. Hopefully we'll be safe, inshallah, God willing. So it's used a lot. Now, I love art now. I've been painting a long time. I love culture. And I'm really hopeful that my art can be a bit of a bridge between cultures, whether it's between Indigenous cultures and the white man, to create some reconciliation and some positive bridges, or whether it's between Islam, Christianity, Judaism, atheists, and so on. So I'm not here to take sides with anyone. I love everybody. I think everyone, regardless of your religion or regardless of your culture, you are just a person. You're just a human being. And I grew up in a very remote part of Australia called Arnhem Land from the age of 6 years old. You can't even go into that area of Australia without a permit. And it is filled with Indigenous people, beautiful Indigenous people, who are very remote. So a lot of them are practicing ceremonies they've been doing for thousands of years. Yes, they have Coca-Cola. Yes, they have, chicken and modern things, but they're still connected to the land. They're still connected to their culture. Whereas as we get out into the cities of Australia and so on, a lot of the culture, very sadly, has been lost, and a lot of the language has been lost. So I have lived with a tribe. I have had a lot to do with Indigenous culture. I've also spent time with a Native American Indian medicine man. I've spent time with a Chinese master. I've spent time with Japanese master teachers in spirituality. But I walk with Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and I believe in Yahweh, a loving God. And so, although I love everybody, I personally choose to walk with Jesus. And I find that Jesus is the only reliable thing that's ever worked for me, because it gives me an almost perpetual peace, and no other religion or culture or anything has been able to achieve that. And in fact, the Warlpiri tribe, who I lived with, have the Bible in Warlpiri, and one of the senior elders there, who's very close to me, is a pastor, and so runs services. So isn't that interesting? Even the beautiful ancient culture of the Warlpiri tribe have come to Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm not trying to preach to you at the moment, because I'm here to share about art, and I'm here to share about when we express through art, it brings us all down to the same level, regardless of culture, religion, political belief. Art is an expression of the heart and the soul. And all of us express through our hearts and our souls. And I would encourage you, if you're watching, that if you don't have a creative outlet, that could be detrimental to you. So it really is good to be involved in dance, or painting, or drawing, or writing, or gardening, some kind of creative expression, because we are creative beings. We come from a creator, and we're little sparks of that divinity. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy my art. But anyway, this is my paint. It's very thick, as you can see. And we'll do a bit of dotting now. All right.